Hello and welcome back to the show, and happy episode 18 to the podcast. We're off to a great start. The podcast can now vote in Canada, so congratulations, podcast. You made it. You have come of age. Thanks for being there for me. I have no secrets from you. A little bit of a different one tonight. I actually tried to do a little bit of scripting for this one because, well, here, let me work through the notes I have for the intro, and then we can kind of get into vamping a little bit here. So, right out of the gate, and I got to warn you guys, I'm a fucking mouth breather tonight. I don't know what is going on this weekend. Every time I sit down and do the podcast, I am immediately congested. So, hopefully it's not too terrible listening to me huff and puff and try and blow the house down here as I record this. So, or hit the mic with my arm. Yeah. Okay. So first things first, right out of the gate, we're going to break the promise here that we are no longer talking about April, because as you saw in last night's episode, like, obviously I had some thoughts about it because there had been some new developments, but I didn't really feel like I could talk about them because I had sworn I wasn't going to. And I'm not saying this is going to turn into the April podcast, but it's a journal podcast about my life. And that includes all parts of it. And right now, April is kind of part of my life, as much as I go back and forth on whether I wish she was or wasn't. So, obviously we kind of course, sorry. Just bad timing on May's part. So like obviously we over-focused on April for the last couple episodes, just because it's what we've been dealing with in therapy and kind of what's been on my mind, and being in communication with her kind of brings that all back to the forefront. But yeah, I apologize that there will be a little bit of April, but I also won't apologize because, you know what, it's my fucking podcast, and if you don't like it, there's 800,000 other ones out there. So it's not going to be the April show, honestly. And if this kind of, what I kind of scripted here tonight works out, then maybe we'll move to that format, and the kind of by the seat of my ass ones will be more of a one-off, not so common kind of things. But I had topics tonight because it was kind of a rough morning for you boys, so let us get into the show. And to start us off, let's start with some fucking dead. Of course, she sent a fucking voice note too. I can't listen to this while we're doing the show. I will check the fuck. I gotta figure out something for this because that is awful noise translation. Here, bear with me, you mob. Okay, welcome back. Okay, so, starting off, the first thing I have here is TikTok. So this is kind of what started my day and sent it straight to the depths of hell, is being on fucking TikTok. And you think I would have learned this lesson by now, because, I kind of got off TikTok for a long time because it was so bad for like just my overall mental health and stuff. And I could see the negative effect it was having. So kind of around the same time, like I stopped checking Twitter, I stopped going on TikTok, stopped this, that, and the other. So, but I was a little bit bored this morning. I had a little break because I was up at the ass crack of dawn today. So I was taking a little break from playing Starfield and kind of looking at microphones and audio equipment and stuff. And I jumped on TikTok just to scroll in the background because, heaven forbid, we have a thought here. But, and I found TikTok's algorithm is just a little bit too effective for my fucking liking, honestly. It started off innocently enough because like TikTok knows that I'm into Star Wars, and and that's kind of what I've been liking, is just all these Ahsoka clips of Hayden as Anakin and all these montages of like his fall into Vader, and those two shots of the light flashes and it's Hayden and Vader and Hayden again, like, and that's obviously going to kind of send you down the depressing side of Star Wars because, the fall was kind of very depressing, and he did it for love, and in the end he ended up with nothing, and everybody got broken. So the algorithm is a little too effective, because that is a lot of my TikTok, and I can only do so much of that before I need to get off because I'm sad. And they're all, of course, accompanied by that audio. Like, it has all those quotes from Obi-Wan and episode 3, and it kind of starts out with like, Anakin is gone, and as soon as I hear it, I'm wrecked inside. So it's, they obviously want to keep engagement time with the app up. They want you on there as long as possible. So the algorithm is designed to kind of, I'm sure, emotionally manipulate you and keep you glued to that fucking screen. And I know this, and still let myself kind of get done in today, where I could see that it was taking me down a rabbit hole I didn't want to go down, but I was just like zombie scrolling at this point. So we moved on from like sad Star Wars machina to sad white girl poem TikTok. Don't ask me how I ended up there. And it really kind of just, I'm emotionally vulnerable, I guess, after watching a bunch of Star Wars TikToks. So a couple of these just like really did my head in, because they were so kind of applicable to April and I. And like to the point where if I go back here one page in my little notebook I have in my lap, I have them written down. And I was kind of what I was going to do the podcast about, is like these poems and like, fuck you guys. The April isn't over. The April inning 2 happening. Like, and then, like lo and behold, she messaged me this morning actually, and had asked me, like, which episodes of the podcast do you think would make me mad, me being her? And I told her, like, there's a throwaway line in episode 6, and I bet you a lot of episode 13 would really piss you off. And I told her what I said in episode 6. It's where, I had the slip of the tongue and said that she had liked that I go to church because it showed that I had morals and character. And I, without thinking, said, I wish I could say the same for her. And, that's not fair to her in retrospect. I should have gone back and edited it out, because it was just me being a snarky bitch. But she very understandably took that very unwell. And it kind of turned into a little bit of an argument. And you know what? This rolls nicely into topic number 1, which is that, funnily enough, this is one of the ones I saw on TikTok, and it's TikTok kind of knows that I'm into like men's motivational stuff, and that this, that, and the other, and kind of how to be a good man and kind of go against what the culture kind of expects of you, and lean into more traditional kind of roles for that. So I get a lot of those like black and white, like weightlifter, here's how to be a man kind of shit. And a lot of it's like Andrew Tate level garbage, but a lot of it is there's little nuggets you can take away. And then this one was one of those. And it was just some fella saying like, you'll find that as a man works on himself and builds his confidence and kind of comes out of a darker period of his life, he has a lot less tolerance for being treated poorly. And this is something I have really noticed in myself. In the last few weeks anyway, where I've been dating, and I'm just kind of much more mercenary about it and much more laid back and not so like intense about it, because and we're already starting out of order here, which is fine, but like, oh, big yawn. Here we go. There you go. What are we? Not even 10 minutes in. The yawns begin. Yeah, like I'm just kind of, I'm very upfront with these girls too. Like I'm not pussyfooting around. I'm not playing games. I'm not some like fuckboy trying to just get laid. Like I'm very, it says it on all my fucking profiles, like I'm looking for a long-term relationship. You must be a good communicator. And I stand by that. And I've walked away from more than one girl in the last 2 weeks because I've told them that, and then they've shown themselves to be poor communicators. And I just say, you know what? You're going to make somebody who's not me very happy, I'm sure, because you're a lovely woman. But you are not meeting me halfway with the most basic expectation I have for a relationship. So I wish you all the best of luck with your future endeavor. But like, that is unheard of for me. 2 months ago, I would have stuck around for the lawyer, and May is not such a good example now because we've kind of taken a different tack, especially this evening, which was kind of interesting. But like, I would have put up with that shit from the lawyer and just kind of pretended I'd never, like, I don't know. It's very cool to see it where I'm kind of like, as my self-worth grows, and I'm like, you know what? Like I have worth. I'm worth a shit. Like, I don't deserve to be treated this way. Blah, blah, blah. My tolerance for being treated that way has kind of very much diminished. And this kind of ties in nicely to April, because we got into a little argument this morning, and she was upset that I had said something poor. I had spoken poorly about her. And I kind of came back with like, yeah, I shouldn't have said it, and I'm sorry that I did, but at the same time, like, am I supposed to be happy with the way things ended? And it kind of turned into this whole thing, and it just, and I'm kind of dancing around it here because she's right. I should, if I don't have anything nice to say, I should shut the fuck up. So, but what it felt like to me is that she was really trying to guilt me into feeling bad for being mad about how the relationship ended. And what do I have written here? Yeah. And like, I'm not going to feel bad about that. I'm not going to feel bad that, you know, from my point of view, everything I've said in those episodes is the truth and was what I experienced. And like, okay, there's 2 throwaway comments that I probably will go back and edit out, honestly, because they're mean-spirited and I didn't mean them, and I was just mad and shot my fucking mouth off like I do. But I'm not going to pretend and sit here that it's all rainbows the way the fucking relationship ended. Like, no, I'm mad, and you're not going to make me feel bad for that, because how you treated me wasn't acceptable. I'm sorry. And the fact that I let myself get treated that way is also not acceptable. So for you to be upset that I spoke poorly of you, that's 100% fair. I shouldn't have done that. You're right. I'm wrong. But for you to be upset that I'm upset about the situation is not okay. And I'm not going to put up with it. I'm sorry. Like, sorry, I really should have reviewed these notes here before I sat down to fucking do the show. But like, that is a radical change from where we were 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, however long it's been. I'd have to look at Snapchat. But where I let her treat me like that because I would have done anything to keep her in my life, up to and including being fucking treated like that. And now, today, I was typing out some of my responses, and I was like, this is probably going to be a bridge too far for her. She's not going to like this. And it is what it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be fucking made to feel guilty for being justifiably upset at being treated poorly. Like, I'm sorry, but so that was kind of interesting. And it was kind of another like, oh shit moment from therapy where I was like, whoa, where did this backbone come from? When did this happen? That I'm kind of so, and it's not like willing or mercenary. It's just kind of like, I am accepting that the consequence of standing up for myself here is that I probably will lose you from my life. But at the same time, do I want somebody in my life who's going to treat me so poorly still to this day? Like, so that did not end on good terms. And I don't know, she may find these one day. So if you do, April, like, you're right. I shouldn't have shot my mouth off, and I will go back and take that shit out of the podcast, and I'm really sorry. But for you to, no, that should be a conversation her and I have in private. So, but publicly, like, hey, I was fucking wrong. I shouldn't have shot my mouth off, and I shouldn't have said those two things that, really only I know what they are, but I'll take them out. And I'm also not going to be walked all over and made to feel guilty for being upset. Sorry. I'm not a fucking doormat. And I have a right to be hurt and angry that you treated me like that. So, two wrongs don't make a right, though, that's for sure. And I was wrong. So, and then, little May update. It kind of has gone the way I thought it would, where she bailed on our plans last night and we rescheduled for today, and she bailed again today. And, the last time this happened, I was very upset with her because I was like, and it's the same thing with the lawyer. Like, what I expect, and you're blatantly disrespecting me by choosing to ignore that. But on the flip side, I know that May has in the past, the last time, had reservations about certain aspects of the relationship. So, oh my God, I forgot to breathe. Good Lord. And you know what? When she woke up, I knew right away today was kind of a write-off and it wasn't going to happen. And that's fine, honestly. I kind of went about my day. I had to pick up some furniture and this, that, and the other and do my Sunday shit. And when I got home this afternoon, it was probably 2 hours after we had been supposed to meet. And I just sent her a text and I sent her a voice note and I was like, hey, I don't know if you're sleeping. I don't know if you're studying. I think you're having some reservations or concerns about me and maybe dating me and meeting me. So, I just want you to know, I'd rather you just kind of tell me. And I can understand why you wouldn't want to. Like, conflict sucks and confrontation, that shit sucks. But, I'm more than happy to hear any of your concerns. And if I can't address them, then we can just kind of part on a good note. And she had some legitimate ones and we kind of talked it through. And I think we kind of got to a good place. I don't know if she's a hard one to read. That's why her nickname is Tough Nut. But I don't know. It was kind of it was the same thing. Like 2 weeks ago, I got really mad at her and I just basically told her to fuck off. So it's kind of cool to see the growth in real time, especially after the morning I had where I was like so mad all morning and just kind of fuming on this whole thing with April. So that I could keep a level head and kind of have this conversation with May where I was like, hey, I know, I can tell, something's up. You're having concerns or reservations or something's bugging you. You can talk to me about it, but if you don't want to, that's fine too. And, don't worry about lunch. We'll get there or we won't. And we talked it out. And that's kind of what I would want a relationship to look like is hey man, I can tell you something's bugging you. Let's talk about it when you're ready. And it took her all day, but we did. She came back to me and she was like, you're right. Here's kind of where my head's at. And so, yeah, it's a nice kind of new change of pace and growth and a whole season of learning for your boy here. So, and then there was something about April at the end here. Sorry, guys, dead air. Yeah, and we've kind of, this is going to make a crash bang boom. I have to get coasters for this table, but we kind of just yarned about this a little bit, but come on, microphone, play nice. Yeah, so we're just going to read from what I've written here because all in all, seeing that video this morning, and that's the TikTok about how more confidence equals less tolerance for bullshittery from a partner. All in all, seeing that video this morning has clarified a few things for me. I've definitely noticed the past few weeks that I'm much more mercenary when it comes to dating and much less willing to put up with tomfoolery. when it comes down to it, I'm very upfront with what I'm looking for. And if you're not willing to match my energy, then I'm not willing to have my time wasted. I think that I haven't met anyone I couldn't get over losing. And here we go. I know April will come to a lot of your minds as someone I couldn't stand to lose, but I'm actively preventing myself from getting over her by keeping that door open. If I had the balls to maintain no contact, I think it would be a lot easier. So yeah, I thought about this today because every time I get to a place where I'm like, okay, this is done. Like, we're not going to talk again. Either I get drunk doing the podcast and then I send her a fucking voice note, or she reaches out to me, because it's a slow burn with her sometimes. So I don't know. I'm very torn on this. I'm very, very fucking torn on this. And I think after today, it's very clear to me where her and I stand. And that is the closure I needed. And I got it the hardest way possible, like I said a few episodes back. So, yeah. And like I said at the beginning here, like, April is not an off-limits topic, but it also can't be a podcast solely about April. So it'll kind of be, if I have a thought about it, if there's a development, that kind of thing. But like, moving forward, it can't be the sole focus, because I was right. I'm just kind of forcing myself to kind of hyper focus on this whole scenario with her, and it's not doing anyone any good, me least of all. So, I think Jelly's going to be a little disappointed in me on Tuesday, but, Miley told us everybody makes mistakes, so a little bit of backsliding, it is what it is. And I actually got some closure out of this shit today. So, it's another thing we can thank her for, and not sarcastically, legitimately. Thank you for, I didn't think I would get the closure from you, and it ended up coming from you. So thank you for that. Yeah. We made it to the place of hopelessness where I belong. And then before we just kind of jump into the next topic here, because this is kind of what I'm nervous to talk about, because it kind of makes me sound insane. And I'm really hoping that some other guys and maybe girls will identify with what I'm talking about here. But we are going to take a quick break so I can come back after the intermission and we can have a little May Says segment and then move on to this heavier topic. So I warned you guys it was going to be a bit of a darker one. Not much of a party for the sweet 18 of the podcast, but maybe for turning 21, we'll get some ripper going. All right, and we are back. Ooh, turn the monitoring right down on the break. There we go. Back in my ears. Bring it back. Okay, so for this next section, we're going to kind of... it's just kind of... Sorry, we're just repositioning the mic here so I can see the notebook. Shock horror, I'm not prepared. Fucking arm noise. We have a new arm coming, so hopefully it's less of a piece of shit than this one. Yeah, we're going to kind of expose ourselves here because this is very clearly like something to do with my tism or something. And I don't know how many other people really think like this. I think the Frenchman said he had something similar once upon a time, but I might be making that up. So, and you know what? I'm just going to stick to the script on this one and then we'll see where we go from there. So it's called, what I call this anyways, the hate fire. Yeah, that it really flared up this morning as we kind of have been discussing. And I don't know if this is a tism thing, but I've never really heard anybody talk about it the way I think about it. How do you even explain this? Like, excuse me. Fuck, breathing is hard. You know what? Here, let's just stick to what I wrote. Today was the first flare-up of its kind in a long, long time, and I was ashamed at how easy it came on and how willing I was to let it. It influenced the entire conversation with April, and I probably could have resolved that better. But at the same time, should I be sorry for being justified? I believe, as said, at this situation. We kind of yarned about this previously. Overall, I'm very disappointed in myself for letting the fire flare as much as I did. I thought I was mostly past it, looking for fuel for it. I haven't been going out of my way to look for fuel lately anyway. As much as I joked with Jilly this week about when they go low, I go lower, I have been trying to take the high road. I guess April knows what buttons to push, and honestly, it makes me... Sorry, I don't know that I want to read this out. Yeah, no. I guess growth is a never-ending process, and today was just a step back on the path. Lesson learned about what sets me off, ? So, the hate fire. I tried to explain this to a girl from church one time, and she walked away from that conversation very confused and slightly scared. So, maybe I'll do a better job on the podcast when it's just me and a fucking rum and coke. But I've always kind of called it that, and it's just I don't even know how to explain it. It's just kind of what motivates me, what keeps me going. Like, and every fucking bad thing in my life and every slight and every insult and every inconvenience is just kind of fuel for the hate fire. And, you know, I kind of visualize it as this little furnace in my chest that's just like flames spilling out of the front of it. And, cause it's been a rip-roarer for a long time. And, you know, when I started seeing April, it really settled down. And then I thought that I was done with it, even after April and I were done. But I guess I was just kind of in the right frame of mind and the right state emotionally this morning that she just kind of knew exactly what buttons to push and made it just fire right up again. And, you know, you can call it whatever you want, the hate fire, this, that, or the other, the temper. It's kind of something I've always hated about myself and tried to get away from because it kept me kind of in a negative mindset because I was at some points looking for negative experiences to really fuel that for me. And, you know, when you only look at the bad, that's kind of all you see. When you're fucking hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? So to always constantly be looking for the negative and the bad, that was my mindset for a long time. And Jilly and I have really had to work on that, where it's like not everything is negative. There is a lot of good in the world. There's a lot of positives in your life and about you specifically. And if you could realize that, I think things would be a lot better. And they have been for the most part. You know, we have our ups and downs like everybody. Nobody's perfect. And yeah. And I just kind of... It was a big step back this morning for me to react to April that way and for me to just react that way in general. Just so hot-headed, instantly 0 to 100 like I used to. Like, it's kind of not really who I want to be anymore, and it's not who I am anymore. So to really pop off like that, like, I don't know. That's just kind of shitty. And then, of course, it's just such like an autistic thing where it's like, the hate fire, blah. Oh, fuck. Your average normal person's going to look at you like you're insane, like Stephanie did when I tried to explain it to her. So, I don't know. It just kind of... I just have to be cognizant, I guess, about... cognizant kind of if I'm, and hopefully I'm not, because it really is kind of is bringing the worst in me interacting with her again these last couple of days. So, but if there are more interactions to be had, and who knows, we ended it on a very sour note today. Just kind of have to be cognizant of letting her get to me, and you know, and again, I could have really resolved that better today. I was a little bit snippy with her because I was feeling very attacked and I didn't think it was fair. So I defended myself, but yeah, I don't know. I guess there's not as much meat there as I thought there was. I probably could have written a little more about it, but it's just a shame, right? Like I thought we were past this, and here you go again, fucking flying off the handle because you watched some sad TikToks and read a couple sad poems, and then April pushed the right buttons and May blew you off and blah, 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 blah. And you know what? Like, that's no excuse. I'm a grown man. I should have it under control. So it's just one of those man things. Like, just got to be better because that's just not acceptable. So better I shall be. And that didn't take me as far as I thought it would. Honestly, fuck, we're only at 30 minutes. You know what? Just for posterity, because I don't really want this to be one I listen to all the time. Let's have a look at these two poems that really fucking destroyed me this morning. And I wrote down the author so I could credit her. And then I saw this all on TikTok. And I put it in the podcast note, I believe. So they're from a book called Lover Girl. And it's by a girl named Reagan Fordemwalt. And I think if you kind of Google her, she'll pop up on TikTok. I think her username is just Reagan the Poet. I don't know. I didn't jot that down, but and I almost went to buy her book actually today, but I thought that would just make for more sad boy hours after April and I kind of argued all morning. So it is what it is, eh? Okay, so the first one, I don't have titles for these. I'm really sorry, but the first one, I'm inside out and ripped in two, and I'm trying to describe it to you, but you don't love me anymore, and I know, of course I do, that I'll sew myself back up eventually. That's what you told me. I want you to move on, but you don't get it. You don't get how I'm inside out and ripped in two, and I'm trying to describe it to you, but you don't love me anymore. So very obviously why that's going to make me think of April, because like we've talked about, like a foot in two worlds, and I was thinking about it today, like if our relationship at this point, and you know what, even the last month and this, that, and the other, like title of the relationship would be, I don't know how you feel about me, because I didn't know how she felt about me for more than half of it, and she thinks she knows what I feel, and she's wrong. Sorry, but one episode of the podcast is not does not reveal the whole situation. So I must have watched that fucking video like 10 times and kind of broke my own heart doing it. So thank you, Reagan Fordenwalt, for really writing such beautiful words that destroyed me. And she reads it better than I do. I'm kind of a fucking putz here. So, and then the second one kind of goes like this. I'm so fucking angry with you because I love you and you don't love me too. And I can't tell you, no, that I cannot do, because it'd ruin your truth and your boyfriend doesn't need my news. Because the worst thing you could do is keep texting me, letting me love you unknowingly. You don't understand what you do to me, but I'm so fucking angry with you because I can't tell you no and I can't let you go. And this, originally it actually said girlfriend, but I changed it because April is not a lesbian and I am not a woman. So I don't know if she has a new boyfriend. I don't care at this point, but it was the line, you don't understand what you do to me, because she doesn't know how I feel and I don't know how she feels. And it's probably better that way, honestly. Makes things a little less complicated for everybody involved. But hello, fucking iPad, play nice. Yeah, I don't know. Shout out to and you know, there was a bunch of other ones I didn't save because these two just kind of hit the hardest, but shout out to fucking TikTok for really, like I said a couple episodes back, like whoever wrote the fucking TikTok algorithm genuinely knew what the fuck they were doing when they set out to make that app, because it's so on the nose most of the time. And like, It knows me to a T. It must have known I was sad, and I don't know, like my fucking TikTok, some sentient thing. Who knows? It might be with AI and shit, but a little bit of ambient noise here. I don't know. Lesson learned, honestly, to fucking stay the fuck off of TikTok, basically, because it just does more harm than good. And stop talking to April. Stop thinking about April. Stop Apriling, basically. It's really a shame that it came to this, because I had really hoped to kind of maintain a good relationship with her, and I think we're past that point now. So, but on the other hand, it'll definitely make things easier moving forward for me anyway. At this point, I don't think I really need to care about her because her support system is much larger than mine. Any admin stuff? The old friend's child's birthday was a success. It sounds like it went off without a hitch, and the child had a wonderful time. So congratulations to the old friend for being super mom, and just, I try and tell her, like, you're doing such a good job, which means fuck all coming from me. But, like, good job, old friend. I'm sure we've talked about it. The child definitely, the memories are more important than anything else, as her and I both know. Just kind of funny parents growing up. So, I'm pretty sure we have kicked another girl to the curb just for poor communication. Yeah, not a lot happened this weekend, honestly. The most exciting part was the fucking violent hangover I had yesterday, and then all this shit this morning. But in good news, we have tomorrow a second microphone coming, and I set up the new kind of podcast station in the apartment. So we're going to give it a hoon tonight and have a listen after I'm done recording this, and we'll see how it sounds and if I need to order maybe some sound treatment panels for these walls. And hopefully this mic is not picking up too much ambient noise. Like I talked about last night, the pickup pattern is pretty direct and specific. So, and the one I ordered for the guest, any guest I have, is the same kind of dealio. So tomorrow I'm going to put the call out on Snapchat and Instagram, and we're kind of going with Rogan rules. Like, are you interesting? You can come on. It doesn't matter what we talk about. So put the call out tomorrow on Snapchat and Instagram and just say, hey, the podcast now has the ability to have a second person on. Anybody want to come on and just shoot the shit? I can come to you. It's a pretty portable setup, and we can look forward to that. The sister is already in. As soon as I can get it set up, we can schedule something. The old friend said she'd come on. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I guess we'll find out. And, I can't help but think how much fun it would be just to have April on. But I think that's a pipe dream at this point, y'all. So, a little bit of a shorter-ish one today. We still hit 38 minutes, but I don't know. I think there's a balance to be found here between, like, really plotting them out like I tried to do with this one and really shooting from the hip like I do with the rest of them. So this is, again, something I kind of want to talk to Dan about and just kind of see his workflow and how he kind of prepares for it and how he writes them and blah, blah, blah. So that would also require me to think of a topic and not just get drunk and shoot my mouth off. So, which actually might be better for everybody considering the trouble it's got me in this weekend. So, yeah, happy 18th birthday to the podcast. Sorry, this one was a little bit dark and downery. But it's definitely not as bad as it could have been, because I was going to turn the mics on this morning right in the middle of the rage, and I'm glad I didn't do that, because that wouldn't be one worth posting, and I would have to fucking start over anyway tonight. So, thanks for listening. I appreciate every listener I have. The usual call out, if I didn't send the podcast to you, how did you find it? The analytics say that a lot of people just kind of find it within Spotify and not on a search. It's just kind of pushed out to them. So if you listen on Spotify, at the bottom of the episode page, there is a Q&A section, and it'll just say, like, what did you think of the episode? But if you wanted to jump in there and tell me how you found the podcast, it would be much appreciated, because I'm genuinely curious how the internet and the algorithms work, and I'm curious where people are coming from. Looks like most people are Canadian, but And then the usual, like 5 stars on iTunes, 5 stars on Spotify if you can do that. I don't know. Rate it whatever you want. I'm not going to fight you for 5 stars. Other than that, I will catch you guys in the next episode tomorrow. It will be a Therapy Eve homework episode. And the homework for this week was a podcast about turning anger into motivation. So this is one I might try and write out and then add commentary as we record it. We shall see how I'm feeling when I get home from work tomorrow. But until then, I hope you guys have a good day, night, afternoon, whatever time it is for you, and be good, you gaggle of geese, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ahuru.